Hello, Smoky Hill Vineyard. Mike and Kristi Cawley here. As you've heard, we've stepped in as the lead pastors at Smoky Hill Vineyard 2 weeks ago when we as a church sent Greg and June off on a year-long sabbatical. And it was so much fun to see many of you in the room over the last 2 weeks. We really enjoyed worshiping with you, and we can't wait to have you with us going forward as we continue to meet weekly in this next season. We also want to share how very honored we are to be a part of Smoky Hill Vineyard and to walk alongside each of you in this kingdom work. You know, we have long history with the Vineyard, and it feels like for us a little bit of a full circle coming back home moment as we've re-stepped into this place with Smoky Hill Vineyard in particular. This may be one of the few times you actually hear us refer to ourselves as the lead pastors. You know, we just are not title people. And so you'll hear us say things like we're one of the pastors here or we're part of the team, as we believe we're just one piece of all that the Lord is doing in this church. But rest assured, we are comfortable as your leaders.
We love SHV. As Mike mentioned, we have decades-long history here. We love to bridge the relationships that have always been here for us. We met here, we were married here. Throughout our time of planting a church and pastoring another church, we have remained connected with the Denver area vineyards and specifically with Smoky Hill and with Greg and June. Mike's been a part of the board for many years. And over the last year throughout COVID, we've had the opportunity to truly fall in love with the team at SHV, coming alongside the staff, coaching them. All that to say, in the midst of this long history, God was writing a story long before we realized how it would be told. Yeah. And we are so blessed that we get to play a part in this particular chapter. When Greg invited us to take over as lead pastors in preparation of his moving out of senior leadership, the Lord gave us this picture of what it was like when we began our own family and we brought two independent family units together. We had no idea what that would look like, what all it would entail, how it would all work out, but we knew that it was worth everything to say yes to what Jesus was calling us to and the new life that he was creating.
Yeah, and we know that there are lots of questions floating around, and we'd like to make opportunity for you to get to know us. And so over the next couple months, we'll be recording a number of these conversational videos where we share our hearts with you, where we are interviewed by different members of the staff, and hopefully where we can generally share updates for our local church family.
So these are going to be posted online at shv.church under Encounter, and the SHV team, you can check them out there as they're available, and also in the app for you to watch.
Yeah. You know, in seasons with a lot of change can bring a lot of anxiety, and we recognize that. We want you to know that we are in this together. And hopefully these conversations are just one of the ways in which we can practically be together.
So we have heard some questions frequently enough, repeated throughout this process, that we thought today would be a great time for us to address some of those and get started with our first conversation. Okay, the first and perhaps most pressing question for some people is, was Transition Sunday the last time we're ever going to see Greg and June?
Well, the answer is no. However, we do want to respect that they are going to take a year off of a well-deserved sabbatical after 30 years of ministry. And they're praying about what this next season holds for them. And so we would invite you to pray and join into that season with them as well. We anticipate that they'll remain closely tied to the Front Range Vineyard movement, and that at some point in the future, you will see them come back and visit and speak at Smoky Hill Vineyard. So please pray for rest, refreshment, and clear direction for them. So the next question is, I heard that SHV was selling the building and the pastor was leaving, and assumed that meant the church is shutting down, right?
No, quite the opposite. So while we did sell the building and Greg and June are on sabbatical, we believe the call of Jesus in this area for this particular body is as strong as ever. We have a team who is excited about what is coming, and we celebrate those of you who have been faithful and remained through a very challenging year with lots of change going on. COVID itself has changed everything for the church and for SHV, that's compounded with all of the additional changes. But when we consider how the disciples in the early church gathered together, it was never centered around a building or a single pastor. It was centered around the family of God coming together, practicing the spiritual disciplines side by side. So another important question, what's your vision for Smoky Hill Vineyard?
Well, our vision is that we see the church as family, just like you were talking about. And that of Acts 2:42, which we'll do a message on in the coming weeks, that kind of lays out how we see this family thing working. just know that our vision of the kingdom is really trying to figure out how to find kingdom partnerships and opportunities for kingdom ministry wherever we go, not just around the four walls of a building. And that as we are the body of Christ, and that we need to walk into this place of God's kingdom wherever we go. Hey, we've been talking with some other pastors in the area. One of the things that's come up consistently is that this area needs Smoky Hill Vineyard, and it needs this church to continue to thrive. And so we see God really wanting to do something really special and continuing on the long history that it's had in serving this community. So the next question is, how will you or we pastor two churches?
Well, we won't do it alone.
Yeah.
We are in this together. I just want to tell you that we have incredible teams at each campus that we've equipped and empowered and released to do the kingdom ministry. We'll likely add to this team in the future. And for Mike and I specifically, from this time of transition until we're out of SHV's current building, you'll see both of us some weeks, or just me or just Mike. We'll kind of be back and forth between the campuses. But then come June, we actually will be able to be at each campus for each service. So we are going to continue to be about what Smoky Hill has always been about: equipping disciples, building bridges, serving our community, being the hands and feet of Jesus, and loving generously, training well, sending our best, and growing in our personal practices and knowledge. So as we move out of a church building that we've known for a long time, it actually gives us the opportunity to see the church push into homes, become even more active in your neighborhoods, and serve our larger communities.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people want to know, what is the church going to look like going forward once we leave our current building?
Yeah, so I assume this is around services and what they're going to look like. So we have entered into a kingdom partnership with Flatirons Church of Aurora. Flatirons has a building off of Mexico and Buckley that we think will fit our needs really well and give us perfect space to do Saturday night services. So we're going to use their building on Saturday nights and do services. In person, yes. And we'll continue to have a streaming option available online for Sunday mornings for those that are not quite ready to be in person, or Saturday nights are impossible to make. And so we are continuing to look for a perfect space for a community center and a home for Hope Starts Here Food Bank. And please be praying with us about this. We thought we had the space and it kind of fell through, so we are really looking for God to provide the right space so we could use your prayers and join us in that process. So and then lastly, of course, we're going to be looking to mimic the early church, moving into homes, living life together, over eating, over the sharing of the word, over prayer, over fellowship, and kind of this whole series we're going to start on what it means to come to the table.
So we have a lot to take care of in the coming weeks to prepare to move out of our facility and let the school take ownership. So be on the lookout. We'll have an email coming with lots of events over the next month plus. Yeah. And mark your calendars for June 5th, which will be our first Saturday in-person service at the Flatirons campus. We cannot wait to see you celebrate with us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this first conversation, and we hope this has been helpful for you. Just know that we are excited to be with you and to be in this with you. And so we could use lots of prayers, we could use lots of guidance, and we look forward to what God's going to do through Smoky Hill Vineyard.
God bless.